Graham, I know you were disappointed with the performance at the weekend. Do you think that that can prove to be a bit of a warning sign for the players? What can happen if they're not at 100%?
Yeah, but I think we've had these warning signs before, so we can't say it's just come out of the blue. It's not the first time it's occurred. So there's certainly a time for learning lessons and harsh lessons in football, as there is in life. But then there's a time when, well, how many lessons do you need? That's the reality of it. And I think on Saturday it was a lesson for us, but I feel it's one lesson too far, to be honest, because I think we've had these lessons previous, and for me, we have to have a discipline in our minds about what the game is going to be about, and I think we should make the choice of setting our own standards for ourselves rather than whichever opponent we're playing.
Is that something you've sat down with the players and talked to them about? Is that something you will do before the game tomorrow?
Yeah, not yet, but we will do shortly after this conference. So I think it's important that we feed back to them, and we're on the same side. So it's not you did this, you did that sort of thing. It's a case of how do we get better, because we have to get better. But for me, I'm quite clear in my thoughts about what we need to do better, and it's our mental preparation going into a game against a team at the lower end of the table rather than the top end of the table, because there's how we prepared and planned for the game was exactly how we planned and prepared for the previous two games against Hearts and Aberdeen, and that's the only conclusion I can come to until I speak to my players. And if there's some different evidence there to suggest a different thought process, then I'll take that on board. But that's my conclusion from the weekend. But I'll also give my players the opportunity to give me their thoughts as well, because they're grown men, and it's their careers as much as mine. And I know they're an honest group of guys, so I trust them, and I respect them enough to have a two-way conversation.
I'm guessing it will be vital, especially going into such a busy period, that there's no bad habits that set in over the next few weeks.
Well, look, I think every manager will tell you that his team on their day can perform at a high level, and I've always had a problem with that on their day statement, whether it's about a player or a team. I think every professional in the world has their day. The better ones make it their day more often, and they make it their day on match days. So that's, for me, is the most important thing, that we have a consistent level of focus, preparation, commitment, work ethic. Because I know you cannot always produce the skill levels, because you've always got an opponent trying to stop you from doing that. But you really can't have an opponent stopping you from working hard. So that's the difference. And when I'm talking about working hard, I don't think any of my players were lazy on Saturday. But we came off it a few percent, and that's enough for us to drop our levels.
Is that a frustrating thing, because you're also playing top six sides this week? The mental side of things will perhaps be there, as opposed to when you're playing a bottom six side. Yeah,
but then we can't get in the trap of is thinking, all right, because they're top six side, and we're going to be all right. That's what I'm trying to get away from, rather than it's first, it's third, it's 11th. Set our own standards. I know what I require as an individual. I know what my team requires. This I'm talking about from a player's perspective here. That's what I'm going to get to. I'm not even thinking about where the opponent are in the league. It's irrelevant. It is purely irrelevant where the opposition are in the league to how you're going to approach the game. So that's where we have to get to, and set our own standards and be our own judges about what we input into a game and how we mentally prepare for the previous 7 days, 3 days, 24 hours. Last hour when you're getting your kit on, it's down to us to make a choice to focus on ourselves and set our own standards. Or because by nature, every team in the Football League plays different teams in different positions of the league. So if you go by the opposition, then your form's going to be up and down. And what we've seen from ourselves, I think, is some great heights when we're focused and on what is required. But certainly Saturday was a low, and it's not the first, so we have to avoid that at all costs. And I think it starts in the mind and ends in the mind. It is in the mind, and for me, that's what we have to work on. And the mentality and the focus and discipline is just as much a skill that you have to practice and train as any other aspect in professional football. So for me, we have to work hard on that aspect of professional life.
Is there much time to assess it with the quick turnaround to tomorrow?
Yeah, don't worry about it. We've had 48 hours to assess it, so we've assessed it fully as a coaching staff. We will feed back to the players the bits that we feel is important. Not absolutely everything, but the things that we feel we can do better for tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, today, me talking to you is about tomorrow. Saturday is gone. We have to learn from it, but we have to plan to prepare and win a game of football tomorrow, and that's what our focus is on. So we're only going to focus on things that will help us tomorrow, rather than look back and put any blame on last week. It's about tomorrow's game now, and that's what our talk, our conversations will be about.
How confident are you that your players can pick themselves up for Tuesday's game? Sorry.
I'm always confident in my players because I know they're honest. That's the thing. Look, and I don't forget when I was poor as a player, or I had a slightly bad focus, or went into a game not 100%. I don't forget that. I don't look back at my playing career and think I was absolutely top notch all the time. I don't kid myself that I'd never made a mistake, because I did. But I want to give my players the benefit of the things that I should have done better as a player, and let myself down, and I don't want them to make the same mistakes. So that's where our work comes from, and but when we do feedback to the players and we do work on the training pitch, they're hungry to improve. They want to win. So that's what gives me confidence. So I don't look at my group of players and think they're being dishonest or they're not good pros, because they are. That's where my confidence comes from, and my trust in them. So, but my job, if all players were perfect, what would be the point of being a coach or having coaches? That's what we are. So we understand that that's our work. That's what we're here for, is to help the players reach better levels and improve. And that's what we're going to focus on. But my confidence comes from the players' characters and personalities, because they're good.
When you talk about mentality, focus being as much a skill as anything, is that something you work on as a manager, and what kind of things do you use to help the players get that mentality right?
We use absolutely everything you've got, really. The training sessions, the analysis sessions, your other staff. Good examples of teammates, I think, is a good one. When you see when you use the most consistent players as an example to other players, and you try to make them look at how does that player approach his everyday training, his life? Is he on time every day? Is he first in the gym? Is he doing all the things that he needs to do? And if it is, then copy that. There's great examples for all players to follow in football, and so I think for me, our job is to remind them of how to do that. But it's a constant process, because it's easy to lose your discipline. It's easy to lose your focus because there's so many distractions in the world. But ultimately, as a professional footballer, you're in football to win games. So that should be at the forefront of any other distraction, to be honest. But like I said, they're all human. I was human once, and so that's the scenario. It is. You've got to, as an experienced man and football manager, I understand that. I needed leadership, and I needed advice, and I needed examples at certain times in my career, and that's what we've got to provide for these players now.
I saw your interview on the Twitter site on Saturday, where you talk about the pit of your stomach. You feel that result until Tuesday night. Is that a difficult weekend after that result of that? Do you just want to get back on Monday morning and try and do something about it?
Well, I think the time in between is really important, to actually let the emotion slide a little bit, and try and get clarity of thought in your analysis of what happened, what you can do better. And then so we always like to have that break in between a game, and when we come together again, because I think it's important. But I think I've been in the game now 30 odd years. There's so many scars in my mind of things that have happened in the game to me personally, in a negative sense, that actually helped me be stronger for the future. So, and I don't like to forget about all those scars and all those times where I learned a harsh lesson, because I think that you can use them as a positive going forward. So we don't we always concentrate on the positive sides and looking to the future. But you can't forget the past, because there's some real good lessons in there for us to take forward. So for me, that bit at the pit of your stomach, I think it should stay there. I think that's where the fuel is. That's where your fire is. It's in your belly. It's in your heart. So I think it's always good to fuel that fire. So you don't want it to have all these hurtful experiences and negative results. But if you use them right, then you become a better player, you become a better coach, you become a better team, and that's what ultimately we all want to try and achieve. So we will always try to remember the hurt as a sort of a stick, not to let it happen again, and that's what we try to do.
We're seeing again, sadly, COVID beginning to dominate headlines and whatnot. First Minister this morning doing more restrictions in terms of face masks and trying to work from home. Is there a worry that this is just again a repeat, and we then spiral into a place where again fans may be locked out or whatnot? Is that a worry or concern for you?
Well, I think it's always been a concern, because I think we've spoken in the past, in the summer months, that the winter's going to come around quite soon, and it hasn't gone away. The pandemic, it's still there, so, and it's not going to go away. So I think we have to accept that, and then learn from it, and actually take those lessons what we've learned, a bit like we've just been talking about, and put them into our future to help ourselves. It's not a case of I'm sure the government don't want to do these things, but there's a pandemic out there, and it's affecting everyday life. So hopefully there's a responsibility on all us as individuals to do our part as well. It's not just the officials putting things in place. There's things we can do every day as individuals to help as well. So it's not a surprise from my perspective. It's not a surprise. I think that it was pretty much going to happen at some point. You just don't want it to actually get any worse, and obviously ultimately cost more people lives, because that's what it's done so far. But let's see how it pans out.
Any team news or anything, knocks or whatnot from carry over?
No knocks from Saturday, which might just suggest our performance really. That's we're everyone's ready to go again tomorrow.
Anybody coming back? There's a few midfielders, obviously.
We haven't trained yet. We're going to train this afternoon, so we're going to see a couple of players. They're going to be with the medical team, and then see if they can join in training tomorrow, and be part of the game. But we won't know that till maybe 3 o'clock today.